computer, but there is no computer to interact with. So this is moving into high tech. Back next. Okay. The monitors are there. That's okay. Just a little bit of time to get acquainted. We are very pleased to be with you in this end of afternoon to present the work of the ESPN-R, the European Safety Promotion Network Rotorcraft, born EHEST in 2007, if I remember well. Presentation by my colleague Bernd Osswald, coordinator from Airbus Helicopters. I do represent the authorities. I'm from EASA, Michel, coordinator also. And you have the best wishes from Christian Mueller, representing EHA, that could not be with us today. And the presentation was also co-developed with John Franklin, EASA. Again, apologies, he could not be with us this afternoon. Yes, it is working. I'm succeeding with interacting with this system. Okay, great. We will address a few things, introducing our new safety promotion brand, Together for Safety, that you might have seen perhaps in various material we published this year. Some words about the ESPN-R, how it is organized and structured. And we spent some time, I hope you will enjoy them, with presenting you the recent videos. And then the most important, perhaps, part of it is this focus on hoist. Makes a nice transition with the previous presentation by rail, because hoist is the safety topic of the year. It already was the safety topic of the year last year, but the edition had to be cancelled or postponed because of COVID, as you do remember well, of course. What is Together for Safety? This text has been written by my boss. He's much smarter than me, so it's difficult to summarize in a few words. Is we want to develop and provide you with useful information, something simple, something to the point, something useful, something that can really make a difference in safety by raising awareness, by affecting attitudes, decision-making, and actions. Because if what we do have no consequences in the cockpit, that we miss the point. We really have to act where the flights are made and in the real time of actions. We want to do that collaboratively. This is the Together for Safety. It's working together for safety, not only EASA or the industry or the associations. We want to work together. As I said, we want to be useful and supportive. We want to use plain speaking, simple words, make us understand, and engage with you. The ESPN-R has 5 teams up and running. We have a specialist team on training. This is led by Mathieu van den Haven, who is with us today. We'll hear from him in some minutes. A team on operations SMS. This is led by Captain Stefano Burigana from Edi Lombarda. Another team on technology, led by Joost Vreken from the NLR in the Netherlands. We have a sling load operations safety promotion task force led by Michel Berends from Airbus Helicopters, and hoist operations safety promotion led by Alexander Weissenburg, also from Airbus Helicopters, but working very closely and hand in hand with Leonardo Helicopters. And Julien and Alex together will present you the hoist workshop after this brief introduction. How do we communicate with you? Well, we have set up 3 forums on LinkedIn. The first one is a generic group where we address all subjects, now counting more than 2,500 members. It's written 2004, but now it's 2005 since 2 weeks ago. And you are kindly invited to register. It's free, of course, and also to make posts, because what I have observed is that we have a few of us posting a lot, and many members who sometimes like or make a few comments. But feel free to make posts, anything you consider interesting or worth sharing with the community, and you can use any European language. It's not only English-centric. And then we have two specialized groups on LinkedIn addressing exactly the last two topics, so Slink Load Operation Safety and Host Operation Safety, with respectively over 120 and over 750 members, which I would say represent most of that community, as we confirmed by Alex and Julien. We try to be very active in 2021. We publish on 7 subjects. Loss of controlling fly, you will see the video by Leonardo Helicopters. Also made one on maintenance safety. We worked on maintenance check flight that was led by the Ops and SMS team. Landing on helipads, both certified and uncertified helipads. Bus strike, returning to flight after COVID, use of simulators, FSTDs, but also virtual reality simulators. And I pass the mic to Bernd.
That's on me. So this is Bruce Webb, the Airbus Helicopters Director of Aviation Safety in the USA. So he's producing a monthly video on some safety topics. So this is a short selection of what he's doing, and we will have the opportunity to look at one with related to helmets later on. Oh, that's it. It's me. Okay. No, it's me. It's me. So to make the link to our hoist workshop, so this is the recent activity we had, one of them, because we had two. So this is the September one at DRF. It's clearly showing that the community is more or less growing to a self-sustaining community. So especially with regards to the hoist task force, which we are coordinating, and which a lot of contributors really collaborate, which we highly appreciate because most of them are volunteering. They have their daily job, and they spend a lot of time to improve safety, to enhance the operational part in the hoist operations. So this was organized by an operator, and there was quite a numerous bunch of people cooperating there and listening, and as well contributing with their own presentations. So very interesting stuff. So in case you are interested in things like that, if you want to hear more about hoist, there will be more workshops to come. Maybe not on a yearly basis, but on a bi-yearly basis. And this is really an outcome of our activity and the contribution of everyone. So really, this is a group of people working together, and we highly value this. There was another one at Leonardo, a workshop. So this is something which more or less came out of the collaboration for the operator guide, but meanwhile we are working as well on a hoist guide, but we will come to that later, as well for pilots, and there is a lot of contribution by pilots, and we still invite everyone to join the groups. Okay. So that's what we are doing else in terms of our projects in ESPN-R. So we just talked about the operator guide. The next one is the hoist training guide. So this is the remit or the tasks for the coming months, for the coming year. There is many more topics we have on the plate, but of course we are as well a little bit limited in terms of COVID and in terms of collaboration only on a virtual basis so far. So we hope that this will improve the next months. So Slingload, we mentioned that already, SMS manual. This is more or less intended to be a toolkit for small operators, so to help them to install or to implement an SMS system. We had a flight instructor guide, which was recently published, or beginning of the year, and we will do the same for flight examiners. So you see that's always a topic where we are a little bit in between of regulation. Where regulation is not so explanatory that people need some more advice, we are providing some guides or some material to help them for improving their systems, for improving their operation. And one which is left more or less supporting material. For example, we heard today already a presentation from David Ferrulo on unanticipated yaw. We clearly saw that there is some mismatch in the advisory circular. So we are trying to define the notification of what is unanticipated yaw, LTE, and explain this in collaborative groups. So in order to aim for modifying the advisory circular, or the next step is the FAA Helicopter Flying Handbook. And again, Bruce Webb is one of our guys representing ESPN-R in that case, or Airbus helicopters, for modifying the FAA handbook in the direction that it's explained in the proper way.
Perhaps it's for me to say a few words about the VAST. VAST is the replacement of IHSF, the International Helicopter Safety Foundation, formerly IHST T14. It was created in 2021. Everything is the same, but better. Reborn with new ambitions, a totally international approach, new resources. The activity, the initiative is led and coordinated by HAI. And James Viola gave yesterday a presentation on the VAST. Why is it a V? Because we also move from rotorcraft or helicopter safety to all sorts of vertical flight machines. If you want to know, and I kindly invite you to try and get more information about the VAST, please refer to the vast.aero website. And now this is the entertainment part of the workshop. We would like to share with you some of our recent videos. And as you will see, they will touch various topics. The first one is a video developed by Leonardo Training Academy in Sesto Calende, Italy, addressing the number one risk, number one killer, i.e. loss of control in flight.
Hello, and welcome to this new episode of Leonardo Helicopter's Safety Campaign. My name is Rory Mitchell, employed by Leonardo Helicopters to provide flight instruction here at the Leonardo Flight Training Academy. I would like to take this opportunity to talk to you about the loss of control in flight, commonly known as LOCI. One of the most dangerous scenarios to a helicopter pilot is the loss of control in flight. LOCI is categorized as an accident or incident in which the pilot was unable to maintain control of the aircraft in flight. LOCI is defined as a significant deviation of the aircraft's intended flight path, and it's usually preceded by an upset. An upset in turn is generally recognized as an in-flight condition when an aircraft unintentionally exceeds parameters normally experienced during the normal line of operations or training. Unfortunately, LOCI is the most relevant cause of fatalities in aviation. Let's reference, for example, to the EASA Annual Safety Report published in 2020. These are graphics pointing out the key risk areas for aircraft upset based on data reports. As you can see, the aircraft upset is the highest risk area, particularly for general aviation. It is important that our helicopter pilot community is fully aware of this potential risk. And I'm here to raise awareness and to try to keep you safe in the future. No one single solution can mitigate LOCI accidents. We believe that through an integrated approach, it is possible to better control the risk area through various interventions that will embrace the full spectrum of human and machine interaction. ICAO recommends 3 different levels of interventions: awareness, prevention, and recovery. Awareness addresses the knowledge, threat error management, and crew resource management skills of the pilot. Prevention deals with the recognition of identifying an aircraft upset evolving early. Recovery, where the aircraft has entered an undesired state and the pilot must intervene to recover. The goal of threat error management is simply to identify and recognize threats, reduce errors, and prevent undesired aircraft states that could potentially lead to loci accidents. A threat is an event or situation that occurs outside the pilot's ability to influence. An error is a pilot action or inaction that leads to a deviation from intentions or expectations, reducing safety margins. In the language of TEM, we talk about trapping errors. A trap error is the first step in breaking the chain of events that may lead to trouble. Through training and practicing TEM, we can adopt strategies and countermeasures to effectively mitigate aircraft upset risk. CRM is about managing resources. TEM is about managing threats and errors. In highly automated helicopters like the AW189, the optimal use of automation is an additional resource to reduce pilot workload. This also includes the flight director modes coupled with autopilot. Let's simulate a possible scenario. The pilot is flying traffic patterns during nighttime operations with autopilot flight director modes engaged. Unexpectedly, the TCAS system alerts the pilot about the presence of traffic. This focused the pilot's attention to visually acquisition the intruding aircraft's position. The pilot reacts, reverting to manual flight by disengaging the flight director modes and maneuvering by pressing the force trim release button to avoid possible in-flight collision. This could induce a pilot's spatial disorientation that might lead to an undesired aircraft state due to poor monitoring of the flight parameters. The AW189 is equipped with a function that could help the pilot in reducing this effect. This function is known as wing level.
The wing level is a flight control system mode which automatically acquires and holds safe nose-up pitch and wing level roll attitude. The wing level mode is available on the AW189 and other Leonardo helicopters. Let's see how it works. A single dedicated push button on the cyclic grip is used to engage the wing level mode. Status indication is displayed on the primary flight display, along with the pitch and roll reference bags. Once the wing level mode is engaged, the helicopter smoothly stabilizes a safe attitude. The wing level mode is disengaged by requesting ATT mode activation. Mode transition and disengagement annunciations are provided to the crew. There are no mode engagement limitations in terms of both airspeed and altitude flight envelope. The wing level mode provides the pilot with a very low workload solution to improve the situational awareness and help preventing spatial disorientation, which could possibly lead to unintended aircraft state situations.
There are 3 major causal factors that lead to aircraft upset. 1. Pilot or human induced. 2. Environmentally induced. And 3. Systems induced. Keep in mind that automation itself is a wonderful thing, as long as we are in charge of it. I'd like to conclude by thanking you for your attention today. And I ask that you remain focused on learning and share with others what you've learned, because a successful prevention is always better than any recovery.
Let's proceed to the next one, if you please. As I mentioned before, we tackled a variety of subjects. This one is about returning to flight after a long time without flying due to the COVID restrictions, and it's presented by Mona Seeberger.
It's unbelievable. After 10 weeks of not flying, it's the first day I'm flying again. The coronavirus disease. But before we get started, let's unpack the helicopter first. So many things have changed since then. And EASA asked me if I can have a think about what are the most important things we have to be aware of getting back in our routine or back to flying again. So helicopters unpacked, almost done. So in the first section, hygienic safety, there are easy main things which you have to be aware of. Keep at least 1.5 meter distance between yourself and your opposite. The next thing is environmental cleaning. Make sure to clean before and after the flight, your headset, your tablet, what you're using, your flight controls, just to be aware of that no coronavirus disease is in the cockpit. The last thing is masks. I know flying with masks can be a challenge, but safety first. Second thing is investing more time into planning. I'm not going to tell you what you have to plan, how to plan. I'm just telling you pilots are not in their routine anymore, especially pilots with little experience. And therefore, just invest a little bit of more time. Go through an ATC radio communication book or through airspace structures just to get into their routine back again. And you don't want to be distracted in flight, being over-challenged, being distracted, just trying to remember any limits. And the last thing is flight training. To ensure all this, pilots could take a 30-minute training with their flight instructor to get their confidence and the routine back. You can invest this time in basic exercises, emergencies. So in the commercial air transport sector, pilots need to do every 6 months a recurrent training. Therefore, doing a recurrent training or an exercise with your flight instructor now the perfect time for everyone. And now, since I talked to you too much, let's get this helicopter started and start flying. Stay safe, everyone. And again, just invest a little bit of more time. Stay healthy.
So the next one would be from Bruce, as announced already, about helmets, so helmet promotion.
To complement what you just said, and it's used in particular in the context of bird strike risk prevention, or in this case mitigation, to be more precise. We've been working a lot on bird strike this year. I want to remind that EASA is published on SIB, and we've been working together in producing some safety promotion material to reinforce that, the message in a sense, right?
Imagine the outcome of this event if the pilot were not wearing a helmet with the visor extended. Fortunately, many helicopter flight crew members are already wearing helmets. And while there are no civil regulations which require us to wear them, they are certainly an important piece of personal protective equipment. Standard category helicopters, those aircraft weighing 7,000 pounds or less, have virtually no requirements which specify windscreen strength. While transport category helicopters, those weighing more than 7,000 pounds, do have a requirement. Basically, the regulation states that the aircraft must be designed to withstand the impact of a 1 kilogram bird, which is 2.2 pounds, at VH. The speed an aircraft will maintain in level flight using maximum continuous power. But we know that many birds weigh considerably more than 1 kilogram. Hawks, eagles, buzzards, geese often weigh much more. And some species of birds weigh 15 times as much. Combine this with the fact that the majority of bird strikes occur below 2,000 feet AGL, in the same airspace we often use, means that birds pose a serious threat to helicopters. And today we have the additional hazard of UASs, unmanned aircraft systems, often referred to as drones. In most countries, these small drones are allowed to be flown as high as 400 feet AGL at speeds up to 100 miles per hour while weighing as much as 25 kilos, 55 pounds. And beyond their sheer size and speed, these drones are constructed of materials which offer a much greater potential for aircraft damage than the flesh and bone of a bird. Remember, the most stringent standards for helicopters do not account for a bird larger than 1 kilogram with an impact velocity above VH. And these are only required for transport category helicopters. The smaller helicopters, which most of us fly, are completely exempt from such regulation. So we are all at risk from the potential penetration of a large bird or from most any drone. And keep in mind that the mass, velocity, and construction materials of a drone make them more likely to penetrate a windscreen or damage the helicopter in some other way. So what can we do to minimize the catastrophic consequences of an object penetrating the cockpit and potentially incapacitating the pilot? The most effective method is to simply wear a helmet with the visor extended to protect your head and eyes. Wearing a helmet is not a sign that helicopters are dangerous, but rather an indication that you are taking reasonable precautions to enhance safety for everyone.
Now calling on stage Mathieu van de Naven from Safety for Flight. He's the leader of the training team of ESPN-R. To introduce the next video. Up to you, Mathieu.
Thank you, Michel. Thank you for welcoming me. So, my name is Mathieu van de Naven from the Safety for Flight company. So, as said Michel, I'm the ESPN-R sub-team training team. This is a sub-team team leader. And I'm here to present you the new EASA safety video. So this year we choose a subject about landing on uncertified helipad. The subject was chosen by the training team according to the top 3 risks in helicopter operations that is in the European Plan for Aviation Safety. The terrain collision and obstacle collisions represent the second priority key risk area. As the last 4 years, Ari Vatanen, former Rally World Championship, participate to this video. He is not here today, but I would like to thank him gratefully. So, let's see, and here's a message that Ari has to deliver to us.
Ari, the pilot, intends to fly with a friend in a helicopter to a conference site located countryside for a presentation he will give on safety. This involves landing on the site's uncertified helipad. Ari asks his instructor how he can improve his pre-flight planning and preparation for this flight so that he doesn't miss anything. His instructor encourages Ari to adopt a threat and error management strategy to cover weather, NOTAM, fuel required, weight and balance, and helicopter performance. The instructor also reminds Ari to verify the site elevation and air temperature during the recce to assess and check that there is sufficient power to land and take off. Should something unexpected happen, the instructor emphasizes the importance of having an alternate airfield to land. Confident in his flight preparation and mindful of his instructor's advice, Ari and his friend depart for the landing site. The weather is good and Ari and his friend are enjoying their flight, but Ari pays close attention to the navigation as the destination may be difficult to pinpoint. As they approach the landing site, Ari confirms that it's the correct location and performs a power check to determine the type of approach he can make, before orbiting the landing site to carry out recces. During the high-level recce, Ari identifies the main obstacles surrounding the landing site, confirms the wind direction, and plans a path suitable for approach and takeoff. Next, Ari performs a low-level recce of the site to spot anything that may have been missed in his high-level recce, especially hard-to-see hazards like concealed power lines and loose items on the ground that might be disturbed by the helicopter downwash. He pays particular attention to the surface, identifying any sloping ground. With final confirmation of the wind direction, taking account of the sun position and noise abatement consideration, and a recap of the threats and possible errors identified, Ari completes his pre-landing checks and lines up the helicopter for the type of approach he has chosen. He knows that if his approach becomes unstable or something unexpected happens, he will make a go-around. During the approach, Ari spots somebody walking across the landing site. Ari performs a go-around and makes a new approach in accordance with his earlier decision to do so if anything unexpected happens. Ari and his friend land safely on the uncertified helipad and shut down. They secure the helicopter, ensuring that unauthorized people or animals won't be able to cause any damage to the helicopter before setting off for the conference on foot.
Landing on an uncertified helipad requires thorough flight preparation and suitable recce and approach and landing procedures. And don't be afraid to seek advice from other pilots or instructors. Their knowledge can be invaluable in case something goes wrong. Don't hesitate to go around and make a new approach or divert to an alternate airfield or landing site.
That's the subject of the year from the training team. And being contacted, I think it was 2 days ago, by a company in the UK called Helipadi. They are preparing to organize a survey, this time of the landing site owner. So this video takes the perspective of the pilot, and they are complementing that approach with taking the view of the landing site owners, and the survey will be about the type of risk assessment they do and information they share with pilots. So you can get information on that if you register on our LinkedIn group, and a post will be made in due time. Last but not least, for today, I present you a bright new, never shown before trailer developed by Claude Vichard for EASA, together with a VR Motion company based in Zurich, Switzerland, and Erzermatt company. On yet another topic, this time is IIMC, inadvertent entry into meteorological condition for VFR qualified pilots. That's the number 2 killer in rotorcraft operations. Up to Claude.
The European Safety Promotion Network Rotorcraft ESPN-R presents Loss of Visual References Due to Inadvertent Entry into Instrument Meteorological Conditions, IIMC, also called Unintended Entry into IMC, based on a true story. Because IIMC can occur suddenly despite all precautions, you must train your escape procedure beforehand. Learn in this exciting video how IIMC can be prevented, what techniques you should know and practice to survive IIMC. The educational ESPN-R video is produced in collaboration with the Vichard Recovery Aviation Safety Foundation, VRM Switzerland, and Erzermatt. The video will be presented in a dedicated ESPN-R IIMC webinar on 16 December 2021 at 5 to 7 p.m. Central European Time.
We'll post information on that webinar. You're all warmly invited to participate if you're interested by that topic, of course. And you should be, because it's absolutely safety relevant. So I'm now passing the mic and the floor to our host operations expert from Leonardo Helicopters, Julien Aymar, and from Airbus Helicopters, Alexander Weissenbuch. You may have seen that they have the organized demonstration in the exhibition hall on a helicopter, and they will now complement this practical demo with a slide PPT presentation. Up to you, fellows.
Michel, thank you so much, and I think we can remove the mask. Where is the, this is the remote. Yeah, thank you very much for hosting us and giving us the opportunity to present what we've done on our recent work. Probably we'll give you a short introduction, who we are, what we do in our real life. Yeah, my name is Alexander Weissenbuch. I work for Airbus Helicopters Germany, based in Donauwörth. I'm a customer support manager for our HEMS and hoist operators in Europe. I have a background being a EASA Part 1, Part 66 licensed engineer, and also being a qualified hoist operator, and are in aviation for more than 30 years now. Julien.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Julien Aymar, working from Leonardo Helicopters since 6 years now as a rear crew instructors, providing operational training all over the world for our customer when they need it. I was a former French Air Force flight engineer on the Super Puma and on the Fennec, doing search and rescue for 20 years. Not only military operation and other type of operation. And I joined Leonardo to create a team of people able to provide training to enhance safety on our aircraft when they need it.
Thank you. So what are we going to cover? Of course, welcome introduction, safety promotion, why does it matter, and who's part of the group, and then our mission, where hoist incidents and accidents can occur and how we may prevent those in the future. Then what we've done, the hoist operator training guide. That is a project which we closed early this year. I think it was in February, and we're currently working on a pilot training guide to get some standardization also for the flight crew. And we would like to also talk about simulation, because it became very popular. And there are a lot of opportunities with hoist simulation training. And of course, a Q&A session at the end of our presentation. Yeah, we started in 2017 with the first workshop in Alpnach in Switzerland, where we met with just a handful of people at the Swiss Air Force, and they were really, I would say, extremely transparent, which I did not ever expect from a military or governmental operator. They disclosed what they all had on incidents and accidents during hoist operation, and yeah, we created a first white paper, and I continued with that, and got a first draft presented at the Aerospe in 2018 in summer, and yeah, got a kickoff for the hoist operator training guide in Colico, where Julien then joined the team.
Yes, and if I can add something, let's say I forgot my word. The community is growing. We have more and more people participating to this working group, and which are requesting more information on hoist operation, on safety, on equipment. So we have a lot of positive outcome with what we are doing. So we are quite proud of the progress, let's say.
Yeah, we'll have a picture of the LinkedIn forum at the end of our presentation. And as you can see here, we have had a couple of workshops until today, and the most recent one was in Sesto Calenda just a couple of weeks ago, where we met with, I think it was already 10 pilots working on the pilot guide. And we're making progress, but as Michel and Bernd said, this is not our main job. We're doing that on top of our normal duties. And I consider this, in the meantime, already a hobby, and looking for stuff on the internet and on YouTube to be shared on our LinkedIn channel. Here you see a brief overview of all the participants which are contributing to our project.
Yeah, I would like to add something on it. Leonardo, Airbus and Leonardo are working closely on this topic, and it's very particular and very new, especially for Leonardo. So it's a good example of cooperation when we talk about safety.
Yeah, part of the content is a nice statement from Igor Sikorsky. A direct lift of an aircraft could come and save the life of a stranded or person in distress. So we basically do helicopter hoist rescues since the 40s. And it was mainly rescue missions from the early days, mainly also military, and the rescue scenario for the hoist had then diverged to a nowadays more modern style helicopter. I think this is a 139, isn't it? Or
169?
Okay, yeah, I'm not so familiar with your product. Sorry for that. And from I would say the somewhat 2000s, the hoist has also become a personal transport device for harbor pilot transport, because it was obvious that a maritime pilot could be transported on a safer way with a hoist rather than with a vessel. There are horrifying videos on YouTube existing where harbor pilots are being smashed between vessels when they board the ladder or try to board the ladder because of high seat states. And this is really something which the helicopter rules out completely.
Exactly, agree.
And since probably the last 10 or 15, maximum 15 years, with the renewable energy sector becoming more popular, it had also diverged into a new field, the wind turbine mechanics and material transport. It's very popular already in the North Sea, and we see it coming more and more in Western Europe.
Yeah, this market is growing, and we will have to take attention because more and more hoist operator and pilot will be involved in this kind of operation. So they will get to have a very good training, very good standard to ensure a good operation.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that later because, as you said, more and more people coming from the non-aviation world into the helicopter business, into the rear crew business, and we just thought it might be a good idea to continue with our project on that. And as you can see, even military parapublic is still very active with different helicopter types. Day and night, there is no, I would say, limit at the moment, and even night operations under NVG is very, very popular, even in the commercial sector. Yeah, with the investigation, what we've done, first, what was indicated is that if you by heart ask a hoist operator, tell me, what was your most impacting or most emotional moment or failure, what you've done during your operation? And you're also a hoist operator.
Yeah.
So it was that the door for the cabin was opened in flight, and the hoist operator realized, oh, I'm not attached in the cabin. Or they already commenced the hoist operation and realized during the operation, standing on the skid, that they were not attached. So therefore, a kind of body check in the checklist had become, I would say, common practice nowadays.
Yeah, I agree. When we start to work with the working group, we start by the beginning because we had a lot of feedbacks coming from different operators, a lot of mistakes done during the flight, rules that has been forget by the time. So we start by creating a guide for best practice. And this is one of the most important. Before to open the door, the cabin must be secured, everybody must be attached. to be sure that everybody is attached, the crew need to coordinate. Also, the pilot need to check if he can, if the hoist operator is attached on this harness.
Yeah, it also depends on the flight situation where they are. Further on, safety check prior hoisting up. We did put in a lot of, I would say, illustrations to make it catchy and easy to understand. There had been numerous accidents where people were just falling from the hoist hook because of various reasons. They did just take the wrong part of their harness to attach themselves to the hoist hook, or they were just not paying attention to the hardware, that it was appropriately attached and latched. So therefore, it's just a 3-second, very conscious check that you are attached with the appropriate hardware into the appropriate part of your harness. And then you give the sign up, thumbs up, and you're ready to hoist up. Yeah, shock load. That can also occur on a vessel, but here, as you can see, it is on a steep slope or even in very mountainous terrain that a shock load could occur. This can be prevented with various, I would say, means, and for sure, one is crew coordination and communication with the flight crew.
Exactly, including also the cable slack management. Obviously, if a dynamic choke load is applied to the cable, it could be very damageable for the rescuer.
Mission briefing, essential briefing before you commence a hoist mission. Everybody needs to be aware of what is going on. This is a special scenario with the Bavarian Police Squadron. They do extensive training with fire brigades, with mountain air rescue teams, and especially during the training sessions, it is absolutely mandatory to have a briefing that everybody's aware what will go in, what the task will be, what's going on once in the air. Cabin safety.
Again, including the hoist operator or the rescuer, all the equipment must be attached in the aircraft when we open the door. Even in flight, we never know. We can have a problem with the helicopter, and all the equipment can fly into the cabin, going into the cockpit, creating a lot of problem for the pilot. So also here we saw so many operators which are, let's say, which have lake in their procedure, letting bags laying in the cabin. So also here we highly recommend to attach every equipment in the cabin.
And not just every equipment being attached, rather than just take the essential stuff with you. Don't overload the aircraft, even if the aircraft is capable of carrying it. If you don't need to be prepared like for offshore rescues, where you need to probably have some special equipment for wind turbine extraction with you, reduce it to a minimum what is essential for that mission. Loss of visual reference. As you can see here, this is a EC-135 with a hoist equipped on the left-hand side, but the pilot obviously is sitting on the right-hand side. So it's very, I would say, delicate situation. Even this was an exercise in Switzerland that the pilot has or maintains visual reference to a moving target, which in case this ship is.
Yeah, when we perform hoist operation, the pilot most of the time, 99% of the time, is losing the visual of the target on the ground. So if he don't have any references to perform his hovering, there is a high chance for him to lose the vertical of the place. And during the lift, the vertical is a key point for us to be accurate and safe.
Yeah, and during our work, we also figured out that offshore passenger equipment is probably not really standardized. So if you pick up a pilot from a vessel, they have an auto-deployment life jacket, whether the life jacket in a helicopter has to be a manual one. So there is a contradiction between equipment requirements existing in the industry versus maritime versus airborne equipment. So this is also a field which we need to discuss, develop further, that we may avoid potential incidents or accidents in flight. This probably is famously known. I hope it will work. No, it does not work, and it does not even start. There's a video, but I don't know if this is starting. No, it does not. So let's talk about it.
It works.
Oh, now it started.
So when lifting a stretcher, but also only EC, but it happens most of the time with a stretcher, it's a bag, so it's very sensitive to the downwash. When arriving into the downwash, if you don't have an anti-rotation system, the stretcher starts to spin, like in that case. The hoist operator in that case has a chance to lay down on the ground the stretcher at the beginning, but now it's too late. The rate of turn is too high, and he has to take a decision. They have been very long to take a decision because maybe they don't have a good standard, a good procedure for that, but they should fly to stop, to put the downwash behind the helicopter and to stabilize the stretcher. Now they decide to take off. It's a little bit too late, but at the end it works.
Yeah, it could have been prevented much earlier if they would have continued into a forward motion flight to use the aerodynamic drag to dampen the rotation or oscillation. It really doesn't matter whether it's an oscillation or rotation, but at the end, fortunately, the person in the rescue bag was not seriously injured, but they had, of course, or she had, it was a lady, rotation trauma. And you can also play with your body position if you're just by yourself. We have a nice saying, this toilet position is helping against the rotation very well. Hand signs, hand signals, essential. It has to be in muscle memory of the person which is on the hook. And I don't know if you have had the chance today or yesterday to attend one of the hoist demos on the ground, on which we were able to perform. And there you can see that it is essential to have a clear communication from the ground to the flight crew.
And now most of the aircraft are also provide with wireless communication in order to give the possibility to the rescuer to always be connected to the intercom of the aircraft. And obviously it's a real advantage, but we are still continuing to use hand signal.
Yeah, they will always work, even in a completely loss of communication. PCDS, this is a really wide area, and there are endless discussions on it. EASA had issued the certification memorandum 005 to give guidance, good guidance, and this is a document which we, the industry, highly appreciate because it gives the requirement of mountain equipment to be used in that case, especially for the simple PCDS, which is not like a complex basket. And you, as an operator, can choose whatever you think is appropriate for your operation.
Yeah, the only point, it needs to be EN certified, obviously. For a full body harness, it will be a 361 EN certification. For the lanyard, 358. But it gives more choice to the operator. You don't need to certificate a specific PCDS for your aircraft. You can still use what is on the market. And I must admit that, and we are very happy with Alex for that we have a lot of support coming from different equipment suppliers. They are giving to us a lot of support, and it's very nice.
Persons on the ground. This is well, a helicopter is a nice thing. You see it fly by, but if it comes close to you, at a lot of spectators, the brain just switches off. They're approaching the aircraft and want to be closer to the scene, and this has become dangerous. And even the next picture is a bit more catchy. Stuff will be flying around if it's not either fixed to the ground, or even backpacks will be starting to roll away, and stuff will, even clothing, come loose and fly, probably in the rotor. And there are some really horrifying videos also on YouTube and Vimeo existing. So be prepared if you approach a scene that something will fly around or people may approach the aircraft.
Yeah, and we saw a very nice video provided by Airbus on the fact to wear a flight helmet. For sure, in hoist operations, there is no discussion. All the crew must wear a flight helmet with a visor. But it's true also for the rescue team on the ground. They need to wear an helmet all the time because they will have to maneuver close to the helicopter with the rotor running most of the time. So also this is very important.
The position of the hoist operator. Recently, there is a lot of discussion all of a sudden for this purpose or for this topic, because there was, I would say, an issue in Italy where the interpretation of the hoist operator position was questioned, and we even had the chance to discuss with the authority today and exchange on the positioning, whether it is a good thing to do, safe thing to do, and we really appreciate that we have an exchange here in Cologne during the European Rotors. It's an excellent opportunity to exchange with the authority on this, together with operators and the OEMs.
Yeah, when it comes to hoist operation, we have to consider the design of the helicopter as a procedure and also the training of the people. But if we start with a very bad design, maybe the hoist operator will be too much exposed, and this is something that we cannot fulfill with the training or the procedure. So we are working a lot on this, all the OEM, to be sure that we provide a good aircraft to our operator.
Yeah, and as you can see here, the hoist operator for a skidded helicopter needs to climb out to reach out to the hoist cable, because they need to, it's basically the control of the hoist. You have two possibilities. One is the cable length, and the other one is the cable position, which you need to manipulate by hand, and or even counteract in the case of oscillation of the cable, of the load. Even maneuvers at night, I would consider that, a risky operation. Nevertheless, it has to be done, especially for harbor piloting. They come whenever, 24/7, and there are some really highly skilled operations in Germany and France that I'm aware. Not too many people are capable of doing that, and it's a highly skilled operation. Mainly done with, of course, dual pilot operations. Training. This is what I would say our favorite yes. part of the story, because we got the request from one operator that they ask for guidance. There is a little bit of stuff in the EASA AirOps 965, but they asked if we could help them getting a better understanding of what hoist operators should be capable of. Because more and more people, I would not say off the street, are coming into aviation, and even being paramedics or just technicians for the offshore wind farm industry want to become a hoist operator, and we sat together and did compose this hoist operator training guide. We will talk about that a little bit later. Another lessons learned are cable damages during hoist operations. How to interpret those, and I don't know if Richard is still there. The OEMs give good guidance on how to interpret cable damages which may occur during operation, and what is tolerant, what can be accepted, and what not. Also damages on the airframe, as you can see here on the right. If the hoist operator is not really paying attention well and having the cable rub on the skid. And as you can see on the left, we have this cable miswrap, which is definitely not acceptable and normally should be prevented by the hoist itself. But of course, there are some problems, or occurred some problems in the past, and some of the hoist installation, like the Leonardo 169, which we have outside, they have a cable foul detector, which not preventing this kind of things to happen, but they indicate to the pilot and to the hoist operator, something's wrong, stop the operation immediately.
Yes, it's also here where good training and good standard are important for the hoist operator on how to manage a malfunction on the hoist, because it could be very hard and maybe lead to an accident if the hoist operator is not able to manage such a